Well, hello, that's me again. It is June 13th, 2022, and I want to start the conversation today with a simple thing. Many people, and again, I cannot even remember the number of occasions on which they send in my comments. Some people will send me things in my email and other places, and they just ask, what do you think about this video by this and that, or what do you think about this article by some defense news, and or what do you think about this and that, and most of it of course about Russia and Russian armed forces. And first I want to say, guys, I do not have enough time or energy really to answer all those questions. But especially when people send me, oh, what do you think about this video by some, group of gamers from mama's basement, who came up with the video, and they do analysis, quote unquote. And let me kind of give it a more generalized, so to speak, answer for this not to be an issue anymore. Let me put it this way. YouTube, the same as broadband, which I know firsthand because I knew people from the Silicon Valley when we spoke about this in early 2000s, and broadband was created for porn primarily, for people to download and masturbate to porn and just do whatever the porn is. So that actually was the main impetus, one of the major impetuses behind the development of the broadband. So the images and videos of all those pornographic images and videos will download faster, and so YouTube has been created for entertainment primarily. So, and as you might expect, the majority of what we see on YouTube is some kind of TikTok bullshit. I want to admit immediately, I watch some whatever the videos of people fails, and some sports videos, which I enjoy thoroughly. Sometimes people are really funny, and there's nothing wrong with that. I also watch videos about animals. I love animals, and when I see like positive videos about animals being saved, it's really pleasant, so I enjoy it thoroughly. But the most of it is basically discussion of the fashion of celebrities or politics on the level of the political scientists' understanding of that. Most of it is crap, honestly. Very few, basically, percentage points, I don't know, maybe 2-3% are dedicated to, for example, excellent lectures on mathematics, physics, mechanics, and things of this nature, astronomy, and of course things of this nature connected to science. And in terms of warfare, most of it, I would say 99.8%, are crap. It is created by people who maximum they were probably the level of grunt. Make no mistake, I have no problems with grunts. They are the main force which fights wars. But most of the people who never had any kind of the military education, serious military practice on the levels which allow you to command tactical unit, let alone be involved directly on operational planning, let alone be on the strategic level. And those are overwhelming minority out there, and they tend to be like me, boring, and speaking about all those things like numbers, all those schemes, and who knows. So in this case, when I getting sent some, oh yeah, these are military analysts, most of them probably who never served a day in the uniform, and they created this video. Most of the military videos on YouTube are what is called military porn, first of the practical variety. That means you get those explosions and real combat and real horrible stories from the front lines, such as, for example, is happening in Ukraine right now. Or the soft porn. There are a bunch of people who think that because they had a physics course in university and are good gamers and play really whatever the military games, they get into those aesthetical issues of the military technology. Again, it has to look sexy, it has to look like, oh, look at this gun, look at this tank, do you see this thing and that gizmo and gadget make it so invincible and things of this nature. And and they begin to do analysis, quote unquote, on the, so to speak, military power, and of course it has nothing to do with reality whatsoever. It's, in fact, it's totally harmful because it absolutely screws people up in terms of their understanding of the warfare and political issues related to it. And as a result, you have this, yeah, it's entertainment. All of it is entertainment. So, and yeah, for people who love to watch Top Gun, hey, do it just fine. But guys, my task here is, and I never made a how to say, the secret out of it, and I understand, for example, that oh, absolutely I'm not going to make much money or create, you know, get a huge audience like in millions or what have you, promoting and doing what I'm doing here. I try to educate people. I really do. If you read my books, and believe me, while not having many subscribers, I mean a respectable number of 20-something thousand, but my task was to educate people. That is why I write books, not on on erotic books. I don't know, maybe I should try to write erotic books and make more money, but I was writing books about warfare, geopolitics, and politics as is related to all of it. And my task to provide basic instruments for people to not be duped or, you know, basically lied to by all kinds of those smooth operators from the political elites, especially in the West, which is basically lying non-stop. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and especially in military field, because, as I already stated, and I want to stress it, with all my due respect, for example, to American soldier. An American soldier and sailor, they're not bad as soldier or sailor, they're pretty good people, you know, many of them are. And many of them are really kind of combat-worthy people. They are not second-rate soldiers, they're pretty good soldiers. There are many heroic people among them. So, and by having said all that, you have to understand, no American serviceman, no American intelligence, what have you, nobody from Pentagon, CIA, let alone US Congress, ever fought in defense of their country. Nobody, never. All what was happening for the last, what have you, 200 years of American history has nothing to do with defending the United States proper. Their livelihood, your families, and things of this nature. United States simply has no experience of that. As such, you have the issues of the psychological dimension, where people do not understand what real war is. And that brings us to this boy, congressman boy, Adam Kinzinger, actually. The guy has a political degree, political science degree, and he is a so-called Republican. He's Rhino, obviously. Not that I really care too much about Republicans either, but at least they don't sell you outright as Democrats do. But I mean, he actually proposed, and he's pushing now the legislature, which is introduced, and he introduces it as the alternative authorization for use of military force proposal. The idea behind this insane idea, and believe me, I react here to what Douglas MacGregor was speaking about yesterday on the YouTube, and I will leave the link to this excellent conversation, Douglas MacGregor being an absolute professional as always, is the fact that this great American hero, quote unquote, he flew dangerous, quote unquote, missions on tankers, and then he also flew the recon missions over Afghanistan, which we, as we know, has the best air force in the world and air defense in the world. I'm being sarcastic, of course. So he wants that if there is a use of weapons of mass destruction by Russia, of course, Russia is not going to use it, but hey, if by Russia in Ukraine, then it basically unties their hands for president, and basically the war could be declared and use of American military forces against Russia in Ukraine. So it is so insane that even the proposition of, already we know he's an imbecile, I mean, former foreign minister of Poland, Radosław Sikorski, who stated that, Ukraine has to have nuclear weapons. But now this guy, who obviously doesn't understand what real war is, nobody in the United States understands that in terms of on the sensory level, so to speak. Professionally, people like Douglas MacGregor, Larry Johnson, people of this nature, they do understand what real war can bring to the United States. But most people don't. Neither can actually most of the U.S. Legislators, because most of them, they are basically lawyers and political scientists and people who never served a day in the armed forces. They would know basically shit from Shinola. And that's why this is so dangerous. And I agree with Douglas MacGregor when he says that it's dangerous, because you know what? You are talking about the blind people about warfare. And if anybody can tell me, oh yeah, there is the Congressional Research Service, and they provide some kind of insights, then there are of course those classified briefings. Let me tell you, if you put me now in the classified briefing, and you will have the neurosurgeon coming and briefing me on the issues of neurosurgery, believe me, I will probably know less after exiting this classified room for classified briefings than I knew before entering it. It's completely different story. For some reason, people continue to think that military is easy. Military is just, yeah, like battalion here, battalion there, the missile there, missile here, and there you go, No, majority, as I already stated, of the American legislatures, including the people who actually did serve, like Mr. Kinsinger, who probably, as Douglas MacGregor says, he owes more to his donors, not to his constituencies, and people who elect him, which is pretty much true for any kind of legislature anyway in the world. But the point is, it's impossible to explain actually what the mechanics of it is, because, and again, read my second book, and General Latif, he is on record. Most of what American public and American legislators, those congressmen and senators know about war, it's from Hollywood. Adam Kinzinger also knows it from Hollywood. None of his relatives ever died defending the country. He doesn't understand what does it mean to lose your property, having your, God forbid, children or family killed, raped, maimed, what have you, taken hostages. And so, but people, for example, in Russia are well acquainted with this, for example, even today. So, and let alone people in Donbass republics. And so, obviously, as correctly MacGregor states, and I have to admit this, it's absolutely correct, is the fact that, yeah, it opens this wonderful window for the false flag. And, Ukrainian regime will do it if need be. Plus, you have this little puppy, which is called United Kingdom, which is, kind of getting in between the legs of big guys. And these guys, they still think that they're so great. And yeah, they have all those assets like white helmets and what have you, all those organizations. They can deliver whatever you want. I mean, they will be happy to feel themselves very important, however, for a short time. But they can come up with the absolute, horrendous false flag. And could it be nuclear even? Absolutely. There's no, I don't know how probable it is, but is it possible? Oh, yes, it's possible. So in this particular case, that, so to speak, opens the door for the United States, for President of the United States to use American military force, in this particular case, against Russians. It's going to end up very bad for U.S. force. And many people in Pentagon, they do understand, but that's the whole point, which has to be very seriously conveyed here. Russia can wreak the havoc on the United States even in purely conventional way, without using nukes. In fact, if you read my books, I constantly stress it, and I even used the analogy of course, in the interview between Alan Holdsworth and John McLaughlin about the acoustic playing. It's what you can do conventionally, which really matters. Conventionally, Russia can also literally just wreak a havoc in the United States, because she has this allegedly reported, which are running out of it, but of course not even close. But Russia has a huge number and variety of the standoff weapons, and long-range high-precision weapons, which are cruise missiles. And United States doesn't have any real means of defending the United States proper, God forbid, if it comes down to it. So, and that's the thing which, for example, Kinzinger doesn't understand, nor he understands, obviously, how the operations for combined arms operations are planned. He hasn't been taught that. He knows how to fly the plane. He doesn't understand what goes into the planning of that and what forces are required. And I'm going to be talking about how we calculate required forces. I already kind of gave a little bit of intro to this in my previous videos, how it is calculated, what forces you need. And in this particular case, what can I say? The number of basically crazies and completely corrupt politicians in the US Congress grows. I mean, it always was considerable, but now it's just, those people don't care about the United States. They don't care what happens, not only because they are absolutely corrupt, which many of them are, there's no doubt about it, but because they're stupid. I mean, they don't understand what real war is. They don't have this feeling of sensory organ, so to speak, which tells you what happens when you have some damn cruise missile flying into your property or into your neighborhood. What are you gonna do? And of course they don't. They don't understand it. They cannot even kind of measure it to themselves, to feed it to themselves. And so are majority of those donors. Some of them probably with a military background, but those guys, I mean, again, they watched primarily Hollywood, and they still think that the greatest war ever they fought was the first Gulf War, where they beat the crap out of the retarded and backward Arab military of Saddam. And they still think that that's the thing. It's not the thing. The real war, well, you can watch it now, unfolding in front of you. And of course, we know what is happening there. Even the ever-lying US and UK mainstream media begin to admit that basically, armed forces of Ukraine are done. Yeah, they are done. They do not exist as organized force. These are just kind of, pockets here and there of the resistance. They will be cleaned out, and of course, yeah, they continue to shell civilian areas. That's the only thing they are good at, honestly. So, but while we talk about it, there is another thing which continues to really, just stun me. And the issue here is that, the butt hurt is so profound that there are still some people, including all those so-called Russian experts, which are not really experts, not really Russian, but they have those Slavic or near-Slavic names, and because they speak Russian, they pretend to be that. They are some kind of the competent observers of Russia, but as you can see yourself, these guys and neocons and people of this nature, they still think and calculate what can we do for Russia not to make, just profit on this, Russian oil. And again, people don't even understand, and it's therapeutic for them because they need to constantly convince themselves that they at least win something or that Russia is doing badly. And I have the news for them, which were actually circulating since yesterday, and it's a very well-known fact that if we go to the oil specifically, a Russian budget is calculated for about $45 per barrel, and of course, even when Russia sells $120 Brent, to which the Russian euros is tied, at $30 discount, she still makes a killing. And everybody confirms this, from Bloomberg to what have you, that Russia makes a killing in terms of profits on oil. Also goes for gas, and of course India becomes Russia's second main recipient for the oil. And the question is, it's the fact that Russia is awash in cash, and she needs to really figure out the programs and how to invest it, because obviously it's, and I mean awash in cash. There is a lot of money in Russia. And now that Russia basically isolated itself from the current financial markets in the West, which are crashing as I speak to you now. So, what are you going to do? Today, the interview of first Vice Premier, Mr. Borisov, to a number of Russian outlets, and he's the guy who's responsible for the military-industrial complex and high-tech part of Russian industry. He is on record today saying that, first, our plant work 24/7 for the producing, basically manufacturing the weapons, and of course ammunition, including all those proverbial high precision munitions which Russia evidently is running out since, like, I don't know, second or first week of operation, when all those analysts, they continue to insist that Russia is running out of calibers. The last launch was yesterday, massive, and again some base of the foreign mercenaries have been hit. So Russia is not running of them, but of course, I mean, the manufacturing proceeds apace and the stores are replenished, so Russia is not going to run out of the apart from the already stocks which are untouchable reserves. So Russia is not going to run from that. It is, however, imposes a little bit of slowdown on the other parts of the development of Russian aerospace industry, because, commercial aerospace industry, because a lot of resources are now diverted to basically production of those types of munitions. But even with the slowing down, we can expect the massive serial production of the major types of the aircraft to start within the 3 years. I'm talking not about MS-21, which is ready, or Sukhoi Superjet, which is being manufactured as we speak. And actually, there are also serial MS-21s in production. We are talking about the whole spectrum of Russian aerospace products, including very needed IL-114, which is the original turboprop, excellent airplane, and it is an absolute demand right now for many Russian original routes. So, and when you look at this, and it's like, yeah, sure, let them count how much Russia will become poor, which, if you can even actually apply this term for the economic development in Russia, and the, I mean, absolute windfall of cash and other resources for Russia. So, but it is the reality, and that's why people, many of those people, they cannot accept it. They cannot live with that, and they will continue to even propose, like this Mr. Sikorsky and his wife Applebaum, who is a famous falsifier of history, of all neocon people, trying to either propose to giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine, or like this Adam Kinzinger, making sure that United States gets involved into the conventional war, which it cannot win, because it will be defeated and will sustain horrendous losses in Russia's geographic vicinity, and because United States always was nuclear-biased nation, and it's the only nation which ever used nuclear weapons in the combat way. You remember Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and of course General MacArthur in Korea, who he wanted his nukes there. There was some desire for nukes in Vietnam too. So, and because United States will be, God forbid, of course, and that's what I'm working for, to prevent that kind of thing. But still, if it comes down to the amount of losses and damage United States armed forces will sustain will be such that they will initiate the escalation towards nuclear threshold, because the United States is a nuclear-biased nation. It cannot take this kind of losses, and the losses will be horrendous. And then you go, you know what's going to happen. Russia will respond, and we're done. The whole world will be done. And but Adam Kinsinger doesn't understand that, because he never studied it. He heard some probably rumors and heard hearsays here and there about this. But I would suggest him to really think thoroughly what he's proposing, because yeah, he's not going to live that much longer if it happens. We all will die, pretty much. And you need to study the Russian nuclear weapons and Russian nuclear potential, which now makes even American one look like a fairly backwater. So, and in basically in my attempt to leave you with a good mood, so here's the good summary of what I'm talking about right now, okay? And So it really is precise. It's really great. It really pictures the whole situation extremely well. And because of that, guys, I'm done for today talking to you. And please, those who can afford, please support me on the Patreon. And those who want to, please subscribe to my channel. And I'll be talking to you more very soon. So have a nice working week, guys. Bye-bye.